Hey everyone, and how you doing? Today for you I got something pretty special. Basically, it is a scrollable wall of images and also clickable. So you can click those images, you can load as many as you want, and you can click on them and you will get out of this bpatcher, that's a bpatcher, you will get the name of the file you just clicked on. And if you want to get rid of the images, you press here destroy image boxes, and then we can load again another folder with some more images. Just take a folder, drop it here, it will recognize all the image files inside this folder and will draw them inside this bpatcher. Can be, of course, improved a lot, we could do a lot of stuff. I think at the moment if you try to import another folder, it's just going to load it behind other images, so yeah, we should fix that. But it is a nice journey, it's all done in JavaScript with the scripting, with Max scripting, and it has a lot of cool stuff that you don't see much around in the documentation. And also my personal way of creating these kind of things. So I hope this is interesting for you, and without any further ado, I will let you now to the video. Have fun. So first thing we need, of course, is a JavaScript object. So let's say this is going to be our bpatcher. Okay, so what we are working inside now is going to be the patcher that goes inside the bpatcher object. We call it scroll images interface.js. Doesn't exist, so I'm going to create a new file. I just double click that, I say AutoWatch1, and then I save it on the desktop with the same name. This patch resides on the desktop, so the JS file and the patch will be on the same folder. Now if I double click, this will open, and there we go. This is our JavaScript file. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, I think, is to read a folder with images inside and create an array with the path to those images. So let's first create our array. We'll give it g underscore to say that this is a global variable, and we will call it like images array or something like that. We initialize it to an empty array. And I think we will go with this kind of syntax, right? Camel case or whatever it's called. And then let's create a function to load the folders. So let's create a function. Functions that we call from Max, we will use instead the syntax with the underscore to be kind of consistent with how Max messages are formatted. So yeah, we'll do like this. So here we need a path to that folder, and cool. So we need a folder object, so we will just call it f, I think, and we create a new folder with this path. So we left this folder inside. Now we need to tell it that we want to have also all the images file. So we need to give it a type list. So folder.typelist, that's the attribute of the folder object. And we want to have like JPEG, let's say, PNG, and I don't know, maybe TIFF, something like that. I think it's wrote like this. Good, so now we will only read files that are JPEG, PNG, or TIFF. If you want to read some more files, you can adjust them to this list. Cool. So then we make a while loop, so we say while f.end, so while folder.end is 0, it means we didn't reach the end of the folder. Then we do like this. We can, for example, post what's inside this folder just to check that it's working. So let's do like this, post f.file name. This will be the file that is currently read by the folder. And let's just add a new line for Max, and then we say f.next. We will go to the next file inside this folder. So just to check that this is all working, we can just drop a folder path inside this function, and should see the name of the files printed in the Max console. We don't need to destroy the folder, I think. It doesn't have a free peer function, so we will not destroy it. Okay, so let's give it a try. Let me get a folder with some images inside, and let's use a drop file object to get the path. which we will also store in a message box. And let's say prepend load underscore folder. This goes here. And then we can also call it just with the message box. This goes here. So I just drop this folder here. And cool. You can see that it printed the name of my files inside the folder. Great. The first one is simply an empty space. I don't know why folder always prints this file. The first one is always going to be an empty file name in my experience. So in order to fix that, we can say if f.filename.length it's greater than 0, so we want a file name that is at least one letter, then we can post that. And this should solve the problem, because a file name is a string, but strings in JavaScript are also kind of arrays, so they have a length. So let's check if it now will work. But of course, we have to take the f next out of this if, otherwise Max will crash like it just happened to me. Because it's just making a while infinite loop, because we never arrive at the folder end. So we will pass it only if the file name is greater than 0, but we nevertheless want to go to the next file in the folder. So yeah, recover my silly mistake. And let's go on. So let's try again. Let me load again this folder with my images. That's how the folder looks like. By the way, there's a bunch of images inside. So I will just take it, drop it here, get the file, and cool, we can see that it's printing all the names without the first one that was with a length of 0. So great, this is working. Cool. Then what we want to do is I think we want to create a class for the images, which will contain the code to create a P window inside our patcher. And this P window will contain the image with that path that we just got from the folder object. So yeah, let's create our images class. Let's do like this, function. Let's call it image. No, image is actually already a class in JavaScript in Max, so let's call it like image box. Cool. And this is a function that requires a path. In the initializer, we will get a path, so we will read this path inside cheat matrix, pass this cheat matrix to a P window, and then display it in the patcher. So first thing, we need a matrix. So this image matrix is going to be a new jitter matrix, and this image matrix dot import movie. That's the message to import an image into a matrix, and then we want to import the path. Good. And then we definitely want to have a destructor for this class, because we need to get rid of all the jitter objects that are not taken care by JavaScript. So let's create a function to destroy this class. Let's call it this destroy equal function. And what this will do, for the moment, it will just say that destroy image matrix. So we'll say image matrix free peer. Good. So when we close this file, this wall file, we will call Max will automatically call the function notify deleted if we put it inside the JS file. So inside this notify deleted function, we want to destroy all the image boxes that we create. So we will need an array also of image boxes. Image boxes. Images boxes array. Actually, the one before, let's actually call it. We don't even need that one before. I wanted to put the paths of the images inside, but I don't think we're going to need that one. So yeah, let's just go with the image boxes array. So then in notify deleted, we want to say for var index in image boxes array. We want to say g image boxes array index dot destroy. That's the function that we call inside, that we declare inside our image box class, and this will just take care of cleaning all the objects we create inside the image box class. Okay, cool. Let's actually make a little divider here, because these are going to be all our, this is going to be our classes, and these are going to be our public function that we are going to call from max. These are the public functions. Apart from notify delete, this is actually a private function because we don't want to really call it from max. This will be automatically called by max when we close the patch or we delete the JS object. So let's call that private functions. Now, inside our image box class, we need to create a function to create a p window that will contain then the image of the from the matrix that we just imported. So let's create a new function. Let's call it create p window or something. This is a function, and it will take the position of this p window. So we will need to provide a position for this p window, and then we are going to pass this as the position of the JIT window object. Actually, in order to create objects, we also need the dispatcher object. So this is something that we need to pass to the whole instance of the class. So we will call it like p, and this will be the dispatcher object. So let's say that this p is going to be equal to p. So when we create a new image box, we will pass the dispatcher instance that is used in the current JS file, which refers to the patcher that we are in. So okay, so then when we do that, we have to say this p.new default, which takes the position of the object, which is going to be position 0. This is the x position of this object, then position 1, the y position. And then the name of the object, which is JIT p window. Right. And let's pass it to, basically, let's create a new property of this class, which is the p window. It's going to be null by default. So when we create this, we are going to pass that into the this p window object. We're going to assign it to the this p window object. Good. Then what we want to do is to pass the matrix to this p window. So we can do like this p window dot JIT matrix, and this is actually a function, and this will be this image matrix dot name, and then this should assign the image from the matrix to this p window object. Okay, I almost would like to give it a try. So actually we could do like this. We could pass directly also the position to the directly when we create the image box, so we can do everything at the creation of the object. So after we declare this create p window function, then we also call it, so when the object is instantiated, and we pass it the position. So when the object is instantiated, it will read the image into the matrix, it will create the p window, and this should result in we seeing a p window on the patcher. Now we don't need to free peer this JIT p window object because this is a max object, so max is going to take care of freeing its memory when the patcher is closed. So we don't need to free that. That's not a jitter object that we create inside JavaScript. So let's give it a try then, and let's do just that. After we pass the file name, let's say g image boxes array.push, and then we will push a new instance of our image box class. Image box, and we want to pass this patcher, as we said, as p, and then we want the path, which is basically path plus f.file name. That's the path to the whole image, so the path of the folder plus the name of the image. Actually, to make it a bit more clear, let's write path folder, or folder path actually. folder path, folder path, folder path, plus the file name. Good, and then we need to pass the position, which for the moment let's just set it to 0, 0. An array containing 0, 0. Just they will all appear at the top left corner of the patch, I think. Good, and then when we close the patch with delete the JS, we're going to destroy all the image boxes, so we will destroy all the matrices that we created here. So this should be good. There is another parenthesis, unwanted. Okay, cool. So let's now give it a try. And I'm just going to click here. Folder path is not defined. Okay, I think I have a silly syntax error here. Okay, so let's try again. And there we go. These are our P windows, just appear all on the left corner of the patch, all on top of each other. Okay, awesome. This is working. So we maybe want a fast way to remove them all. Let's first delete the object so it takes care of cleaning the matrices. Let's actually also post something every time it cleans stuff. So we can say, we can post something here and say notify deleted cleaning or something like that. Then a new line. Good. Okay, cool. But let's create a function that will allow us to remove simply all the boxes by just clicking on a message box. So let's call it the destroy boxes or something like that. Destroy image boxes. And what is going to do? This function is simply going to call these for loop here, and then we can actually call these when we call notify deleted. We will just call this function. So now we can also call this. This is going to be a public function, or actually this is a private function. So we should say notify deleted local is equal to 1. It means it cannot be called by max. But these destroy image boxes can be called by max, and in fact we are going to call it to get rid of all the boxes at the same time without having to delete them manually. So let's give it a try, create them. There they are, and I want to destroy them. And it didn't work. Okay, so what does this function do actually? Index destroy, cool, okay, and then we should of course get rid of the actual JIT window. So let's actually do like this inside the destroy function of the image box class. Let's say this p.remove this p window. This is the function of the dispatcher object that will allow us to delete an object from the patcher. Okay, great. And actually after we do that, we also want to set the images box arrays to an empty array, because we destroyed everything, we took care of cleaning the memory, and now we just want to have a fresh empty array. So let's give it a try again. Let's delete this manually. I guess first I have to delete these. Okay, cool. It cleaned them. Okay, so let's give it a try. I create the images. There they are. Now I want to destroy them, and there they go. Cool. And should be also take care of cleaning the memory for the image matrices. Great. Now we just need to give a position to these boxes. So instead of just passing a position of 0, 0, what we probably want to do is to set a size for the image boxes. And by default, they are that big, which is a size of 320 by 240, which could be actually okay. So we can do like this. Can create here another global variable and call it image box size. And this is going to be 320 by 240. So it's going to be the size of our image boxes. And I guess we can pass that as well inside our image box class. So after the position, we can pass the image box size. Now this is a global variable, so we could just use it as it is inside the image box class. but I think it's best practice to just have independent classes from the global. So not use really global variables inside individual classes, but always pass them as arguments to those classes, because otherwise it gets we're going to modify global variables inside the classes, and this is kind of bad practice because it leads to errors. So let's pass this as well here as the box size or something. Good, and then let's create another property here. So this box size is equal to box size. And actually, just to be sure that the image resizes to our desired dimension, we should say that we want to resize this P window. So let's do like this. Before we assign the matrix to it, let's say that this P window dot rect is going to be equal to position 0. So we are setting now the patcher rectangle of this object, position 1, and then the width and the height, which are going to be this box size 0 and this box size 1. So let's see if this works. Let's actually try to change this into smaller size just to check that this is actually working. Good. So let's give it a try. I create now new. They just became bigger. Cool. Okay, let me check what's going on. Oh, indeed, the patching rectangle is 160 by 120. So it actually did work. It was just that before was not that big, I guess. Okay, so let's make them smaller to, I don't know, 80, 60. Is this what is going to work? Save. Going to max. Okay, so now they are 80 by 60. Okay, cool. But, okay, we are setting the size of the P window. This is great. We can choose to have them smaller or bigger. Good. Okay, so let's put now a position for those image boxes. So I think we are just going to do like this. Let's create an index, assign it to 0, and every time we go to a new name, we will just increment that. A new file in the folder, we will just increment this index. And so for the x value is going to be the index multiplied by our gbox image, gbox size 0. So for the x position, let's actually do like this. Let's create a variable here and let's call it box pos, and let's declare this here. Let's define this here. So here we just is a bit more ordered. We don't have so much stuff going on a single line. So box pos, sorry, I wrote box size, box pos, index multiplied by image box size, and here we just want basically, let's say that we want maximum 4 images per row. So here we just want the index module 4. No, actually we want to do like this. If we want only 4 images per row, we want to say that the index module 4 is going to be multiplied by the image box size. Okay, great. And then for the epsilon, we want this. We want the math.floor, so only the integer, the smallest integer of I divided by 4. So every time this is number, it's going to be 4. We are going to have a new unit. And this we all multiply by the G image box size 1. Okay, so just look at this line and check if it makes sense. We're going to see in a second if it works. So let's give it a try. Click here, and apparently I got an error. I is not defined. In fact, I didn't call it I call it index. Silly me. Always mess myself up with my own conventions. Good. So let's give it another try, and oh, there they are. There they are, but they are messed up. So what's going on here? Okay, and I think the problem here is the way we are assigning the rectangle to the JIT window. So we should not do it directly like this. We should actually assign a var name to this p window, and then we should use the dispatcher object to modify the rect. So let's just assign a var name to this p window, and Max automatically is going to give them different var name if they're all the same, if they all have the same name. So we will just say this p window dot var name it's equal to JIT p window, and then Max will automatically assign a number here, like 1 or 2 and so on. So cool. And now what we need to do is this. We say this p.script. So we say we create a scripting message for JIT, for dispatcher. So what we need to do is to say send the box. That's the message we pass to this to dispatcher object. Then the name of the object, which is this p window.var name, and then what we want to do with it, which is modifying, is patching rect. And so we say patching rect, followed by our array that we want to set for that object. Good, we need to close this parenthesis, so this is now a function. Good, so let's give it now another try. Of course, I forgot to delete the images first. Should have done it, because now they occupy my memory forever. And cool, now we got them all on their own position, so pretty cool. Can destroy them, recreate them, and there we go. Nice. Let's maybe leave a little space between each image. So in order to do that, we should just say on the position X, we just add a little offset, like, I don't know, 10 pixels. Let's maybe say 5 pixels. And on the Y as well, 5 pixels. So let's see. Oh, forgot again to delete the images before saving the file. Should remember to do that. Okay, this is only doing it in the beginning, of course. So we actually need to do it like this. We need to multiply this by the JIT image box size plus 5. That's what we need to do. And as well here. So not this plus 5 at the beginning. We just add an offset at the beginning, which you can actually, by the way, also leave. So there will be an offset of 5 at the beginning of the X and Y, but then we multiply the index by this number plus 5. So this is how we get the actual offset between the images. Okay, great. That's awesome. Let's try to put this all in a bpatcher. So let me create a new patcher. I will save it in the same folder where this patcher is, which is the scroll image interface, and I will call this test patcher, right? And here I'm going to create a bpatcher. Bpatcher here I'm going to give it the file name of the other patcher. So choose. So here, scroll images interface. There it is. Okay, great. And as you can see, it has already the images inside. Should not be there, should not be loaded. So let me save that. Let's do like this. Let's destroy the images here. And let's create an inlet here, where we will just drop the name of the folder actually from this inlet. And then let's say, okay, let's root here, load folder. So actually this is the function we are going to pass from the inlet. We are going to pass a message load folder followed by a path. Good. And then we want to also root destroy image boxes. And this second will just trigger a bang that we will send then to our message here, destroy image boxes. So save here, let's go to the other patch. And okay, let's create a drop file object here as well. And you know what, in order to have a better overview of where is our bpatcher, let's go here and say bg color let's set a BG color for our patcher here. Okay, cool. So now when we go in the other patcher, if we go in the inspector of this bpatcher and we say background mode patcher background color, okay, we will have the background color for this bpatcher that we chose from the BG color. So let's say here prepend load folder. Good. So I'm going to drop again the name of the, I'm going to drop again my folder with the images inside this drop file object. So I'm dropping it, and there we go. They are loaded inside the bpatcher. Awesome. And this is scrollable. This bpatcher is scrollable if we make it scrollable. So if I click here and I say enable vertical scroll bar, okay, cool. We can just actually scroll these images. Awesome. So, okay, this is all good. We just need a message to also destroy them. So destroy image boxes, I think we called it. And there they go. Okay, cool. So we create them, then we can destroy them. Okay, awesome. Now, the last thing it's remained to do is to make them clickable, right? And the proportions of the images are not correct, but this is kind of a minor detail that we can always fix later. So what we want to do is to have basically an outlet here, right? And what we want to do is to connect this outlet to the JS. And now we will do something interesting. So what we will do is that we will assign also a bang button to every one of our images. So how it's called, it's not a bang button, it's a B button, text button. No, it's like a button that you can click, but it's actually transparent. And how is it called? I always forget. U button. So we create a U button for every one of these images. Exactly. So this we will have our U button here, and it's going to be equal to null. So every time we create a new P window, we are just going to create a new U button. So let's create a function and let's call it create button. And we need as well the position as well here, right? And this will be just basically, let's copy what we had here and paste it here. But instead of this big window, we want to say this U button is equal new default. Instead of JIT window, we want to say simply U button, right? Var name, this is going to be U button underscore. Right, so sandbox this U button. Oh, forgot to change it here. It's a bit tricky if we just copy everything, but it's mostly the fastest way. And then we don't need to send the jitter matrix. Cool. So what we need to do actually now, so one cool way of doing this is to assign a listener, a max object listener to this button. And then when this button is pressed, the listener will give us a callback. Will trigger the callback function. So we can do that. Oh, and by the way, we need to call this function before we do this. So we just call it after the create P window, so with the position as well. And let's create a listener object. So we will just create it here. This button listener, it's equal to null. And then we will initialize this inside when we create the button. So this button listener, it's equal to a new max object listener, I think it's called. And no, it's actually called the max object listener. That's how it's called. So the first thing, the first argument is going to be the name of the object to listen to, which is our U button. And the second name is the callback function. So we will call it button callback, and let's create this function. So let's create it like this. We will bind it. To this class, so we can have access to the objects that are inside this instance of the class from within the callback function. If we will not do that, we will have to have it as an external function to the class, and it will not know about the objects in the class, so it could be useful to have it bound to this class. So let's create it. It's called button callback. It's a function which has as an input the data. And let's just post for the moment the data value. So let's say button pressed new line. No, actually plus data dot value plus a new line. Okay. And so we say we want to bind it to this function, so we do like this. We wrap this in parentheses and we say bind to this. This is how we can bind the callback to this function. Maybe do like this? No, okay. Okay, cool. I don't think we need to destroy the listener. I think Max will take care of that. So let's now give it a try and see if this is actually working. Okay, so let's go in our patcher, not the text patcher, but our normal, our bpatcher patcher. And let's see if it actually has created the U button, and it has created them. They are just behind the images. So somehow they are not clicked because they are behind the JIT window. So we need to push them on top of the P window objects. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So we go here. So when we create our button, we will go something like this. This p dot bring to front, or is actually script bring to front, I guess. Bring to front, and then our object is U button. Could this be var name maybe? Okay, let's see if this works. So not here, but maybe here. And yeah, now it's working. Awesome. So we brought the button to the front of the JIT window. Okay, amazing. And now we get that the button pressed comes out. We can make it come out from the output of our JS object. So what we're going to do, instead of posting this to the console, we're going to say if data dot value is equal to, but actually just if this is true, then we will say this outlet. No, it's not this outlet, it's actually outlet 0. And then we want to output the path with the file name. So actually we should have here variable, call it this image path, and assign it equal to path. So when the button is pressed, then we want to say, we want to outlet the image path. Okay, so let's give it a try. Let's go in our test patcher. Let's do this, and then let's see if something comes out of our bpatcher, which doesn't have any output for some reason, although I think I told it I wanted some outputs. Maybe I didn't save. Okay, I'm now saving here. Oh, and I forgot to delete also the buttons. So when we delete the, when we destroy the thing, we also want to probably remove the button. So this is not necessary because of the memory thing, but if we want just to get rid of buttons and images at the same time, we can do that in the destroy function. So good, let's give it a try again. And let's actually go in the test patcher. Oh, now this has an outlet. Awesome. So let's go like this, load the images, and cool. We can you can now see that now we have the images, and when we click on them, we can get the name out of the name of the image we clicked out of the bpatcher. Now, if I close this patcher and then I reopen it, let's see how it will look like. Okay, it will just be empty, so every time we need to reload the image folder. No big deal, I guess. Cool. And then we can make it like this. We could make it resizable, that when we resize, then the image will just spread over the resized surface. We can do a lot of cool things, but it will take so much time, and I think you got the idea already. I think you can go on by yourself from now on. So this was it. I hope you liked the video. I hope you found this useful, and you found a lot of resources that you can use in your own code, in your own patches. I'm very happy about any comment about this stuff, so if you have some, please let me know. And also you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out my Patreon. That will be all very much appreciated and will help the channel grow and help me personally going on with this video. It's actually a very huge help. So thanks a lot for following, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have fun, keep maxing, and see you soon. Ciao.